Welcome to this edition of the show. Human resource management is super essential for all types of organizations. My guest is a professional in the HR industry and is dedicated to helping technology startups optimize their HR. We have this interview and a lot more lined up for you, but let's kick off the show with some tech news and updates. I am Chukwemeka Agbata, and this is Tech Trends.
As our digitally connected world continues to expand, the inherent vulnerabilities in the systems we rely on provide even greater opportunities for those who want to exploit them.
A typical day in the hospital could entail long waiting hours for medical care and in-person interaction with a doctor, but those days are gradually being phased out with a new reality brought by telemedicine. Patients and doctors can now meet remotely via video and app-based visits, and that's where Ugochukwu Chikezie comes in. The Nigerian with his team has developed a mobile application that can connect patients with licensed doctors. The platform, Tremendoc, was born out of a need to provide a convenient way to receive medical support and bridge the gap between doctors and patients.
I also have a story about my son who was diagnosed with enlarged adenoids, and what that cost was he always had a stuffy nose or blocked nose in the middle of the night, and would force us to drive him to the hospital 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning, or call the family doctor. And then it hit me that there were a lot of Nigerians who didn't have that kind of access. And even if I could drive at 2 a.m. in the morning, I was still keep putting my family at risk. And those things combined just brought the idea to me that why don't we have a mobile app that could give people access? Because some of these things might not even be emergency things. It could just be just an assurance from a doctor. And that's how the marriage happened, and that's how the vision was born.
Available statistics from the World Health Organization show that over 40% of WHO member states report to have less than 10 medical doctors per 10,000 population, and over 26% report to have less than 3. In Nigeria, it is revealed that the physician-to-patient ratio is 4 doctors per 10,000 patients, an alarming low rate, especially for a country struggling to provide medical assistance to its citizens, which is why the health tech startup is changing the way patients seek care. Via the app, patients can access quality healthcare services regardless of their geographical location from the comfort of their homes. And this limits visits to hospitals and healthcare centers, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Tremendoc is a telemedicine solution. It's a solution that it's a mobile app that allows patients or users talk to doctors remotely, whether it's via chat, audio, or video calls, 24/7. We've been able to aggregate doctors across Nigeria, and they can consult with patients remotely. So, meaning a doctor in Cross River can consult with a patient real time in Lagos or Port Harcourt.
Merging healthcare with digital technology was one thing, but convincing the doctors to join the wave was another.
In the beginning, it was a bit tough because there was a lot of education to be done with doctors. Even doctors themselves didn't understand how it was possible to give a proper diagnosis and treatment to patients remotely. But one question I used to ask when I was talking to doctors to come up on the platform was, I said, have you ever had to, have a conversation with your brother or your sister or your mom or your wife or your friend over the phone because the person is saying, oh, I feel this way, what do you think is wrong with me? And 100% of the doctors have had that experience. I mean, someone actually told me that if she was getting paid for each time she had to talk to somebody about a sickness or prescribe something, she would have been a millionaire in dollars today. It was a joke, but the truth is, what I said after I got that response was, you've been practicing telemedicine all this while.
And working with Tremendoc has been quite impressive to see the amount of people that are embracing telehealth And telehealth basically is providing healthcare services to individuals in lieu of in-visit consultations, so that you have people that you get to provide services through electronic media, software or apps. Physical visits, I think some of the major things that can also be done virtually, because you can still, sometimes we do video consultations, you can see the patient, but there's still some limitations, however, in terms of, getting some physical examinations being done. Also, as a doctor, you should be able to tell when this patient has more serious symptoms and needs to see the doctor, because we have a lot of patients before telehealth seeing the doctors over mere symptoms that can actually be handled over the phone. So I think it has somewhat brought some prevention and limited the spread of this coronavirus.
Ugochukwu says although the telemedical platforms are siblings to traditional healthcare systems, they face the same troubles or the tech startups struggle with.
I think the biggest challenge is education, actually, because from a doctor's end, there's that educating to be done, and then also the patient's end. I think the pandemic actually helped in educating people, because they were forced to look for an alternative if they couldn't go into the hospital. And once you try it, you would realize that it actually works. Telemedicine is facing the same thing every other startup or any new thing faces here in Nigeria, from funding to government structures and so many other things. I think it's a general thing amongst different companies.
As the platform seeks to change the narrative of how people access healthcare in Nigeria, it is another way to show how much technology is revolutionizing sectors in the world today.
A surgical robotic arm, known as Mako, has helped a medical team in Rome perform a knee surgery. Robotic surgery and robotically assisted surgery have become widespread in the medical industry in recent years, and among the latest designs is Mako, a robotic arm which enables a more predictable surgical experience. Surgeon and professor at Modena University, Fabio Catani, says use of the Mako robotic system shortens surgery time and has been shown to reduce pain and speed up recovery in patients.
Less invasive on soft tissue, the patient has less pain and the recovery of the function is faster. And the surgery is not so bad in terms of timing. So in 1 hour, 1 hour and 50 minutes, we can, because the benefits is not only on the patient side, but also on the hospitals and in the surgery time, because we need to do several cases.
Catani performed the lateral knee prosthetic surgery on a 74-year-old with the aid of the robotic arm at UPMC Salvatore Mundi International Hospital. The hospital is the third and latest in the whole region of Lazio to be equipped with the technology.
So high technology is not taking our job off, but we need to understand how the technology works. So this is the downside in terms of that we need to spend time with the technology, with the CT, with the planning and everything. So it's a downside in some sense, in other time is great benefit.
Mako projects the type of prosthetics needed during an operation using data from a 3D CT scan of the body part on the operation and an infrared camera system. With the help of Mako, surgeons can perform advanced simulations of an operation and position the prosthetics with precision, saving bone tissue and achieving ligament balance. Mako is one of the most advanced technology systems to allow for a minimally invasive partial or total joint replacement procedure. With many parents and students across the US longing for a return to in-person learning after the coronavirus pandemic forced classes online, a robotic company thinks it has the answer.
Disinfection start.
Disinfecting robots that use ultraviolet light to kill COVID-19 in classrooms and school common areas. China-based robotics company UB Tech makes the Adibot robots in two versions: a stationary model designed to be wheeled from room to room by a cleaner or school custodian, and an autonomous model with a LiDAR sensor which makes its way around a room, disinfecting as it goes. The company says the UVC light emitted by the robots deactivates the DNA and RNA of the coronavirus and is 99.9% effective.
We built in multiple layers of safety into the robot itself so that anything any type of ingress into a room, whether it's a human or a dog, will shut the robot off. Because we do not want people in those spaces. And so it starts off with a safety sign that is put in front of the door that is constantly communicating with the robot. And anytime that door opens, basically it triggers the robot to turn off. In addition, on the robot itself, you have an array of sensors on top, as well as a RGB camera that's using AI to basically scan the room, looking for somebody that enters into the room. If somehow somebody evades detection of the safety sign, then the robot is constantly monitoring whether or not somebody's in that space, and it will shut down. We like to say it's virtually impossible for somebody to be in a room while the machine is in operation.
4 robots were recently deployed in 2 schools in Delaware as part of a pilot project to measure cost efficiency and disinfection rates and allow the schools to suggest improvements. Dan Shelton, superintendent of the state's Christiana School District, said the robots were part of several strategies the district had investigated to make schools as safe as possible.
We may never get to back to normal, but we need to come up with some sort of a new normal where our students are going to have what they need so that they can be successful. And we need to make sure that our teachers and our staff feel comfortable in the buildings if we're going to bring students back. So this was one of many strategies that we've investigated and some that we've invested in to try to make sure that we're giving that extra layer of protection, because without safety and security, pre-COVID, that was essential, right? We have to have safety and security. If you don't feel safe in your building, you're not going to be able to concentrate on what we need you to concentrate on, which is teaching and learning.
During the 2-week pilot, 2 students were presumed positive for COVID-19, and the school used the robots to disinfect classrooms and common areas where the students had been.
We did find that the custodians who then had to go into the room directly after the clean had a much higher comfort level of going into those rooms. The CDC recommends 24 to 48 hours before a room where there was a positive case can be used again. This technology allows that room to be safe almost immediately after it's been cleaned. So that was a huge, but the piece that I'll speak to more is in the large common areas.
UVC light can be harmful to humans, so the Adibot comes with a warning sign to be placed outside the room that shuts down the system if it detects any movement. It also has a camera and sensor on the robot itself that will switch it off if someone walks past the sign and enters the space it is cleaning.
We like to say it's virtually impossible for somebody to be in a room while the machine is in operation.
The school district in Delaware has not yet made a decision on whether they will invest in the robots.
Next is my chat with the founder of Wooden HCD, Toluwase Olaniyan. Stay with us.
Tech startups naturally are more focused on the growth of their company and sometimes can overlook or not see the importance of human resource management. Because they are mostly on a shoestring budget, They try to cut costs and manage the company on their own, but when left unchecked, an unstructured HR department can do more harm than good. Strong HR practices are better positioned to develop and retain employees, and both are important for business growth. We chat with Toluwala Sheolani, founder of Warden HCD, and he is dedicated to helping tech startups optimize their human resources.
Toluwase, welcome to Tech Trends.
Thank you so much, CFA. Thanks for having me today. It's such a pleasure joining you here today.
Okay, our world has been affected by, the COVID-19 pandemic. How do you think that startups can cope in this very interesting time?
So this is actually very interesting topic because it's biting everybody, and it's really biting us really hard, right? Like I've said to a couple of people in recent times, coping at this time is not so it's difficult, but also not so difficult, right? So the very first thing I say to the people is run a very lean model, run a lean team where you can, you almost can have everybody together. Secondly is to put proper structures in place, right? So before now, a lot of businesses, particularly African businesses, don't have structures. They just do things, right? MD would want the lowest person to report to him because he wants the loyalty of everybody, right? But then that's unproductive, because if you have even 70 people in the company, right? If 35 reports to the MD, that's very unproductive, right? So you need to then build structure, build reporting structure such that you are managing a very lean management team, right? So if the structure, the person at the lowest or at the bottom of the ladder reports to somebody, and then come back to you. So having a lean team, putting the right structure in place. This structure should also be able to work both physically and virtually. So you're not having to always come to the office. So that reduces like a lot of stress on people. So COVID-19 has actually made a lot of things change. And I think that in embracing it, we should then understand how to switch around these things, how to build a lean team, most importantly, build a lean team, and the second is to build structure.
Okay, before we dive deeper into the issue of systems and all of that for tech startups, what is your take on some of the work that is going on, in the startup ecosystem today?
Interesting, amazing, and phenomenal, right? And I've used all of those words because it has opened a lot of young people, particularly young people. So the most interesting thing is it's young people who are like that at the edge of startups, right? It has opened a lot of young people to possibilities, right? So maybe before now in Africa, where with dynamics of the generation ahead saying, are you sure this is possible? Are you sure you can do this? Are you sure these things can happen? But now we are seeing it happen and happening around us. We're seeing tech startups that are designing solutions that make our lives easier. And I think, this is like one of the most amazing things that's happening in this age and time. So yeah, I think it's amazing and phenomenal.
Awesome. So tell me, how has technology changed the HR industry?
A whole lot, right? A whole lot. So first is more data, right? So now we have data. We have data to back up everything. So before now, you would just hold on to what the HR manager says, right? So if you have, say, 1,000 employees, and you want to take a survey, first you probably start taking around, paper survey that most likely cannot be anonymous, because people will see you when you're filling the paper survey and they will ask you to write your name, right? So they're able to track it. The management decision is always based on what the HR manager says. But now technology has made a lot of things easy that you can deploy a survey, make it anonymous, and you gather data. Now we even have like external data to be able to design some solution. Particularly for like a kind of consulting that I do, we have data to be able to analyze and design some kind of product for some kind of startup and some kind of client, right? So data has become more accessible, which is awesome. Analytics has also become a lot more simplified, all thanks to data. So you can analyze all of this data. You can look into structure, break down the things that we think cannot be broken down before, and analyze them and without being biased, right? So data has taken away, has helped that human part of HR. Because before now, it's either you, so they say it's either an HR person is wicked or is too nice. When you are being too nice, you are at the gunpoint of employers. When you're being too wicked, employees are holding your neck. But hey, technology has made everything so easy that I can analyze data. I can say to you, I can do performance management using data, using technology, and you can see that you're not doing well as an employee, right? So technology has made a lot of things easy for us. Data is more accessible. Analytics has become a lot easier. And I mean, appraisal has become something that we enjoy doing like every day. All thanks to technology.
So, when you talk about structure, startups would be wondering, I'm a lean team, I've got just one co-founder. How would I go about structure? So how important is both structure and the HR in general to startups?
Yeah, so structure is very, very important. Like I always say to people, right? What you build now is what you will build on. Whatever you build now is what you will build on. Simply put, the structure you design around your business now is the foundation that you will build on, right? The structure would encompass like the policies, reporting models, all of this, so that even when you're hiring, you can hire right? So when you're hiring, whoever you're hiring knows where to do, where to go to, and how to do what to do, right? No matter how small. So it's just you and the co-founder. You're hiring a third person, right? Who is this third person? You're hiring accountants, right? Who is this accountant reporting to? What's the accounting model of the organization? How do we intend to do this accounting model? At what points do we stop? What do we take on, right? So all of the structure need to be put in place, right? So you need like policies, you need like policies, you need frameworks, no matter how small you are, right? So this structure can be very, very flexible, such that it allows you to expand. You can always build on it. But then even as a one-man business, you run your business alone, you need this structure, because the structure also affects how you interact with your clients.
Finally, Toluwase, this is one pretty interesting question. I have had my experiences with these interesting guys and ladies, but let me ask you, as the expert, how can folks who are building stuff better manage their developers? Because those developers is usually very interesting. But let's hear from you.
Okay, so pretty interesting, right? Managing developers is like one of the most amazing things, and it's tough. When you tweak it. Now, a lot of incubators would say that for you to be able to get into the accelerator, you must have a tech co-founder. So first, right, knowledge on the part of the business owner is important, right? So you need to be able to design what the workflow is, and probably hire an in-house developer who will track all of this, right? An in-house developer who will be able to. So for a lot of us that don't even know. So even on a WordPress website, I'm struggling because I've not had like a proper spec sheet. I don't know what my expectations are. I just want to look at the website and see that this looks beautiful. But if I have a tech co-founder, or like a CTO, he's able to say, no, this part we need to tweak, this part we need to tweak. So first that I say is, you probably want to get a CTO or a tech inclined co-founder who would fully manage that. Don't say that I said this, but maybe you hire the tech co-founder first before you then swing, if you want to build a tech business.
All right, thank you for that tips. And Toluwase, thank you for being on the show today. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CFA. Thank you so much, CFA.
Thank you. My guest has been Toluwase Olaniyan, founder, Wooden HCD. As you've heard from him, your people remain your greatest assets, and you have to do all you can to keep them. Because at the end of the day, software, robots, algorithms, artificial intelligence, and all other interesting technologies will likely not replace humans 100%, even though the advancements we have seen recently has been breathtaking. That's our show for today. Remember, we live on social media at Tech Trends TV. You can watch these and previous editions of the show on Channels TV, YouTube, or cfablog.ng. For Tech Trends, I'm Chukwemeka Agbata.